a power between continents. In the ancient world, when the Mediterranean, Arabia, and Africa were bound together by wind and sail, a powerful kingdom rose along the shores of the Red Sea. Its merchants controlled maritime trade. Its kings carved their victories in stone. Its coins bore royal portraits like those of Rome. And centuries before much of Europe embraced the cross, this African empire adopted Christianity as a state faith. This was the kingdom of Axum, a civilization once counted among the great powers of late antiquity, yet largely forgotten in modern historical imagination. Known to historians as the Kingdom of Axum, this empire flourished in what is now northern Ethiopia and Eritrea. At its height, it commanded key Red Sea trade routes, influenced Arabian politics, and stood diplomatically alongside Rome and Persia. To understand Axum is to rediscover a chapter of African history that reshapes our understanding of global antiquity. Geography and strategic position. Gateway of the Red Sea. Axum's rise was not accidental. Geography shaped its destiny. Positioned near the Red Sea coast, with access to the port of Agilis, Axum occupied one of the most strategic corridors of the ancient world. The Red Sea was not merely a body of water, it was a commercial highway connecting the Mediterranean to the Indian Ocean. Through these waters passed Roman gold, Arabian incense, Indian spices, and African ivory. Axum stood at the crossroads of Africa and Arabia, benefiting from both maritime and inland trade networks. Its highland capital offered natural defenses, fertile soil, and control over caravan routes leading deep into the African interior. In antiquity, few locations were more strategically advantageous. The rise of a trading empire. By the 1st century CE, Axum had transformed from a regional kingdom into a commercial powerhouse. Greek and Roman sources speak of a prosperous African state engaged in international trade. The 1st century maritime guide, known as the Periplus of the Erythraean Sea, describes Agilis as a major trading port exporting ivory, rhinoceros horn, gold, tortoiseshell, and enslaved persons. In exchange, Axum imported luxury goods, textiles, wine, and metalwork from the Mediterranean world, including the Roman Empire. Its rulers understood commerce not merely as wealth, but as power. Axum minted its own coinage, a remarkable sign of sovereignty and economic sophistication. These coins, inscribed in Greek, linked Axum symbolically to the wider Hellenistic world, while projecting royal authority across trade networks. Axum among the great powers of antiquity. By the 3rd and 4th century CE, Axum was recognized as one of the major powers of its era. The Persian prophet Mani listed 4 great empires of the world: Rome, Persia, China, and Axum. This acknowledgement reflects the kingdom's global stature. Axum maintained diplomatic relations with the Roman Empire and asserted influence across the Red Sea in southern Arabia. Its naval capabilities enabled military campaigns that projected power beyond Africa. Far from isolated, Axum was fully integrated into the political and economic currents of late antiquity. Conversion to Christianity, a turning point. One of Axum's most defining moments came in the 4th century. Under King Ezana, Axum adopted Christianity as the state religion, becoming one of the earliest Christian kingdoms in history. Tradition holds that a missionary named Frumentius, later appointed bishop by the Patriarch of Alexandria, guided the royal conversion. This transformation occurred decades before Christianity became dominant across much of Europe. Axum's adoption of the cross was not symbolic alone. Royal inscriptions shifted from pagan references to explicitly Christian language. Coinage began bearing the sign of the cross. The kingdom aligned itself religiously with the Christian world centered in Alexandria. The conversion placed Axum at the heart of early Christian civilization in Africa. Monumental architecture. The stelae of Axum. Perhaps the most visible symbols of Axumite power are its towering stelae. Carved from single blocks of granite, some rising over 20 meters, These obelisks marked royal tombs and proclaimed dynastic authority. Their facades were intricately designed to resemble multi-story palaces, complete with false doors and windows. These engineering achievements testify to advanced stoneworking techniques and centralized organization. Even today, the surviving stelae stand as silent witnesses to Axum's former grandeur, monuments to a kingdom that mastered both trade and symbolism. Expansion into Arabia. Axum's ambitions extended beyond Africa. In the 6th century, Axumite forces intervened in southern Arabia, responding to political and religious conflicts in the region. The kingdom temporarily controlled territories in present-day Yemen, securing influence over vital maritime choke points. This expansion reflected both strategic calculation and religious alignment. As Christian Axum confronted rival powers across the Red Sea, for a time, Axum stood as a transcontinental empire, bridging Africa and Arabia. The Red Sea Trade Network. Axum's wealth depended on maritime dominance. The monsoon wind system allowed predictable sailing between East Africa, Arabia, and India. Axumite merchants mastered these seasonal rhythms, facilitating trade that linked distant civilizations. Ivory from Africa could travel to Roman markets. Spices from India passed through Axumite ports. Gold and agricultural goods sustained the kingdom's economy. Control of these routes elevated Axum from a regional state to a global intermediary. Challenges and decline. No empire remains unchallenged. Beginning in the 7th century, shifting trade patterns and political transformations altered the Red Sea world. The rapid expansion of Islamic polities reshaped maritime commerce. New centers of power emerged across Arabia and the Near East. As trade networks reoriented, Axum's economic foundation weakened. Environmental pressures, possible soil depletion, and internal changes further contributed to decline. Gradually, political power shifted inland. The once dominant Red Sea Empire receded from global prominence. Yet Axum did not vanish entirely. Its legacy endured within the Christian highlands of Ethiopia. Legacy: the roots of Ethiopian Christianity. The spiritual and cultural legacy of Axum lived on through the Ethiopian Orthodox tradition. The continuity of Christianity in the region, from late antiquity through the medieval period, stands as one of the longest unbroken Christian traditions in the world. Axum's royal narratives became intertwined with later Ethiopian identity, linking biblical traditions, Solomonic legends, and national heritage. Though its political power faded, its cultural and religious influence endured. Rediscovering Axum. For centuries, Axum's story remained overshadowed by Mediterranean and European narratives of antiquity. Modern archaeology, epigraphy, and interdisciplinary research have restored its place in world history. Excavations at Axum and Agilis continue to reveal inscriptions, coins, and artifacts that illuminate its complexity. Axum challenges outdated assumptions about Africa's role in ancient global systems. It demonstrates that African civilizations were not peripheral, but central participants in trade, religion, and diplomacy, a forgotten empire reclaimed. Ancient Axum was more than a regional kingdom. It was a maritime power, a Christian pioneer, a diplomatic equal to Rome and Persia, and a bridge between continents. Its stelae still rise from the Ethiopian highlands. Its faith traditions endure. Its coins remain scattered across archaeological sites as evidence of global commerce. To remember Axum is to restore balance to the story of antiquity, to recognize that the ancient world was interconnected and that Africa stood at its very heart. The kingdom of Axum was not forgotten by history. It was waiting to be rediscovered.